It's Thursday. I'm thankful for so much. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for this upcoming birthday and that despite me not having the means to do much, my family decided to um, essentially do it for me, which I appreciate so much because they didn't have to. They didn't. I didn't ask them to. I just only decided a couple weeks ago that I would do something in the first place. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my older sister who stepped up huge. And I'm grateful for my older sister for several reasons. We had hit a rough spot in our relationship, I guess in 2023, which I really thought I had did all I could to avoid it, but I thank God that we have found a common ground to support each other. I just thank God for the power of forgiveness and how love really does cover a multitude of sins, how it doesn't matter the differences when the love of God, the restorative love of God is at play. And that's another thing I'm grateful for as I come up on my birthday and then, we're in the new year. Because that's the thing about having a birthday in the first week of January. It's like you're naturally reflecting on the year before your birthday even comes, just because of the time of year it is. And God's grace and the power of his love and how we can extend that grace to others is powerful. So powerful. And that has been a huge lesson for me, especially in the second half of 2024. What it means to forgive, what it means to walk in grace towards others, and to deal graciously with others and with myself, because I'm not perfect. I'm grateful for the lessons I learned this year. But today I'm thankful that my birthday is coming together, and I look forward to being with my family. I look forward to celebrating, and I am getting my hopes up, because with God, you can't get your hopes up too high. If your hope is in him, like truly in him, and your expectations are in him to be who he says he is, to do what he says he will do, to hold him to his word, it comes a point when there's no disappointment or embarrassment, because even if it doesn't go the way I want or anything like that, it's the fact that God is involved that I can have high hopes. So I'm getting my hopes up that this will be one of the best birthdays I've ever had. It's definitely one where I'm grateful to be alive, because there was some dark enough moments to where my life could have ended. And I'm grateful that that's not the case. I'm grateful for victory over depression. I'm grateful for triumph over anxiety. I'm grateful for restoration and new possibilities. And I'm even grateful. I got a tooth removed today, and it needed to be removed, and just because of logistical challenges and how I wasn't focusing on my well-being, I didn't and I didn't have insurance. So that's another thing. I didn't have any dental insurance, or that every time I seemed to get it for the past few years, it was like nobody. It was tricky just getting the extraction, and I need a couple of crowns, but I got the extraction today, so I'm grateful for that. I don't have to go into this new age, and I'll be 38. Yes. I stopped really keeping track of after 33 for some reason. After that, the numbers just seemed to be inconsequential. So I have to really pause and make sure it's the right number. But yes, I'll be 38. And I'm glad I'm not going into 38 with that broken tooth that needed to come out. So I'm grateful for progress. I'm grateful for all and any progress. Any progress is good progress. Any motion forward is good motion. I am grateful. I'm also thankful I'm thankful that even though some things came up financially, that I did have what I needed in terms of just getting those things done. And I'm thankful for these lessons and courage that God is teaching me to be courageous, even in my stewardship. Because even in being a good steward over my finances doesn't mean being scared. There is no place for fear in this walk when we walk alongside the Most High God, when we walk with the Spirit of Christ alive in us. There is no there's no legitimacy in fear, period. So no fear in my financial goals, even though I'm moving responsibly and being a good steward. But that was something that the Lord was dealing with me on, even with getting ready for this birthday, is that if he was giving me this idea, I couldn't be afraid. He wasn't speaking to me to stir up fear of how I was going to pull this thing off. And that ministers to me because there's some other financial burdens and challenges that I'm facing, and I refuse to be afraid because God has come through for me in so many magnificent ways, miraculous ways. Whether the need was $5 or thousands of dollars, he comes through. So I trust him even with these bigger financial challenges that I'm looking at. And I'm not going to be afraid that if I'm like today, I wanted to buy a couple of vitamins. I wanted to buy some magnesium glycinate at the pharmacy after I got my pain pills and antibiotics because the tooth was infected. And a feeling of fear tried to come over me, just by spending. And I had coupons because earlier last year, I guess I did I had coupons. It was buy one get one free, and I had so many dollars off. A purchase that would or could be $40 was going to be about $7. And for some reason, just in spending that $7, I had to really overcome this feeling of fear, like buying these drastically discounted supplements that actually helped me was somehow going to bankrupt me. And I had to pray. I'm like, Lord, you got to help me because it's not irresponsible. I'm not an irresponsible person. And that's another thing. I thank God for just this past week of him reminding me that I am not a victim. I'm not an irresponsible person. I'm not being punished. I haven't been reckless. Even in my health, like I've been doing what I could. What I thought would work or knew to do just didn't always work. But it's not because I had been completely neglecting myself. Even with my dental health, I had been going to a great dentist, and I was keeping up with my appointments. And then once I ran into some challenges with insurance and the school I was teaching at, I was on medical leave, and I ran into some complications with the insurance and the doctors and things like that. And so I missed some paperwork, and the school just fired me. The district, and I really was looking forward to working for that district for a while. They fired me. It was devastating, and it was unexpected. And I found myself with limited resources, and I was I had gotten another job at the time but I had to wait. It was always something. So even though I was being diligent, it was like I had to wait to follow up and get the crown for the root canals I had gotten. It was, I had to get other referrals, and it was such a runaround that just in trying to keep up with it all, at some points I would get overwhelmed. But it wasn't because I was irresponsible. And so even to stand in a CVS and to really have to go into spiritual warfare to come against these lies that somehow that it would be a mistake to get something that is helpful to me. The Lord has been really dealing with me like, Rachel, you have to know who you are. You're not a failure. You're not irresponsible. It's not your fault that that depression is something that happened to you. And it can feel, if I'm being completely honest, it can feel like when I don't make the clear distinctions, these accusations or lies or assaults on my character, they can feel legitimate. But the Lord has been reminding me this past week or two of how these things went down. How I really was trying my best. I had car insurance longer than I usually have car insurance, because car insurance is expensive in Detroit. But it had lapsed like a couple months before my car was stolen. So I didn't have it when the car was stolen. I didn't know my car was going to get stolen. It has GPS. It has all the security on it and all of that. And somehow they just disabled it. They just broke in the window, took off. And it was up the street at my uncle's, because I was letting my uncle use it. And that was another thing. I had been really trying to support and help my family in a lot of ways. And so I was letting my uncle use my car because he was helping us out, and I didn't have to use it because I was getting rides to this mental health day program I was going to. And he stays up the street from us. And I was at the program. He called me. He said, "Did you come and get your car?" And I'm like, "No." He was so disappointed. It hurt. And at that moment, I was like, well, I took it with stride. I just felt like, I went on the app because it was a Ford. A 2020 Ford Fusion, and it had the GPS, everything. You could look at it on the app, and when I pulled it up, it was just disabled. The GPS locator just not working. I'm like, phew. So, it just happened. It wasn't my fault. I didn't blame my uncle. And so what had been happening recently, just maybe August, September, October, especially with the intensity of the anxiety and the nervous feeling I was feeling, and the effects of some of the medication that I had been taking, which I'm on none now, thank God. And thank God for a good psychiatrist who would have the wisdom to walk me through not being on any medication to determine what I actually need to take. But those accusations are like, what, you shouldn't let him drive your car, or this, that, and the other. It's just like a lot of lies. Like somehow it's just all my fault, or if I had been smarter or more diligent, more responsible, more this or more that. Like there was really much I could have done. And of course, in hindsight, you always see if I'd done this, like, well, maybe if I had told him no that time, it wouldn't have got stolen. But how could I know? So that's the thing. The Lord has been encouraging my spirit, because he's reminding me that hindsight is not meant for condemnation. That even as we look back, if there's something we can learn it and move forward. But we don't look back to condemn ourselves for the mistakes we made or the things that have happened that were not our fault. So, all that to say, I'm grateful for the journey of this last year, and I'm thankful that God has me in this place to where I'm encouraged. My hopes are up. I have high hopes in as far as a car. I know I'm not going to be catching the bus long. It's not like I have anything against catching the bus. I've caught the bus before. Some of my older YouTube videos, actually, like back when I was working at Amazon near the airport, I was catching the bus. The sting this time is that I had a car that was stolen. But before that, I just didn't have a car. Which is crazy because I had a car and that car was towed, and they sold the tow yard sold it within like a month, which was crazy. But I had an opportunity to get that car back by the grace of God. Financially, though, me and my sister decided to put the money we had in the house that she just purchased to get it ready to be an Airbnb. And I told her, don't worry about me, I would get another car. And that was the right decision. And the Lord sustained me as he always does. So it was after that I was catching the bus. It just is what it is. So catching the bus in itself is not, I don't have a complaint about it. I'm grateful for it. The buses are warm on the cold days, dry on the rainy days. You know, I live near a reliable bus line, so I'm grateful. But I know that God has something for me. I know that I'll have a car. I know that. I know that the enemy really thought that he was going to shut something down with all the ways he threw stuff at me this last year, but I'm not missing a beat. I'm coming back stronger. I'm a victor, not a victim. I'm not irresponsible. I'm not a failure. I'm not ill-prepared. Like the Lord has been doing. I'm not like some lost, orphaned outcast. I know who I am in Christ. I'm not trying to sound cocky or arrogant, but I think that's the slip up that really shook me the most, is that because all this stuff was going on for a second, it really threw me off. Oh, and it's so much that I'm not even going to talk about. I lost sight of who I was in Christ. I'm more than a conqueror, and I'm blessed. I am abundantly blessed. So I feel confident that I could keep my hopes up high, not just for this birthday, but for this year. That no matter what chaos goes on, because there's some stuff that's going to be happening in the United States, but I'm going to be blessed throughout it. The righteous will have much in a famine. Like the Lord, better is a little bit in the hands of the righteous than a whole lot in the hands of the wicked. When you are in the will of God, when you are in the hands of God, even the attacks of the enemy just propel you further into purpose. And that's what I've been realizing and remembering just this past week or so. Wait a minute. All of that nonsense is just to propel me into purpose and prosperity, so that even though 2025 is going to be an interesting year for the world and for America, I am going to reflect the goodness and the glory of God and the favor of the Lord in my life. I have extremely high hopes for this year. I have high hopes for this birthday. I have high hopes for everything God is going to do. And it doesn't have to go exactly the way I think or want. And my hopes will not deflate. They will not deplete. I will keep them high, because God is well able to fulfill, sustain, and far surpass anything I can imagine or think. And that's by the power that He's working through and in me. So, and that's the word. So I have high hopes. I'm very grateful. I'm encouraged. And so that's it. That's an update. Hope y'all are having a good year so far. Everybody be blessed.